It is just a regular Sunday. Ready to get to it. I have a little bit of new information to go over and something that I have just been kind of marking out for fun. Just going through the charts. Something I want to start doing in my trading is looking at the market from not necessarily a strategical point of view, like not a method. What am I trying to say? A model. I'm trying to look at the actual market structure itself, how and why the market was where, what it's going to tell us through like market maker sell models in this situation, but more importantly, it can be market maker buy model, AMD, all that different stuff. So yeah, this is Monday from. Why is it still up here? This is Monday of this week, the 25th. And we can see how we basically had a market maker sell model to the downside. And this, I was just going through basically these highs, like short-term high, long-term high, short-term high, and then, short-term lows down here. I was marking out this, short-term high, higher high, lower high, and just kind of going through price action. But we'll start from the beginning. So, standard deviation. This was something I was trying to, get into this weekend and kind of like going into Friday. What is standard deviation? What do I want to use it for? And, how can it help me with my narrative, in certain situations? So the way you do it is it's basically the manipulation leg of, the move you're expecting to be the manipulation leg. So like I'm expecting this to be the manipulation leg, and as soon as we get above this high, that's when I can, kind of like not have full conviction, but that's what makes it a real, Fibonacci, where I'm supposed to anchor it. So this high, this low, that's our 0. This is our -1 standard deviation. You can tell we rallied right up to there, but that's kind of me getting ahead of the point here. If you look, the way, let me see. Do I have? I do. Right here. So you see how, you can start from this. We have a short-term high, a low, short-term low, you could also say, a long-term high, then in this we have another short-term low, short-term high, and break lower. You can see how we have a high, higher high. We break this low, so we have a lower low when we're bearish, or when we're bullish, it's a higher high. We have a lower low when we're bearish, and we have a lower high. So then we can go back to over here, where we have a short-term high. Oh no, sorry, a short-term high, long-term high, short-term high, and then we have this, which this low. I'm gonna delete these because that's what's kind of distracting. This candle takes out this sell side. It gets below this low. So now we have a market structure shift. And then now I could expect us to have a short-term high. And then in this case, okay, so I'll just start from the beginning. We have our original consolidation. That's where we have our fib marked out. We takes it up into our larger time frame high PD array. In this case, it was a 1 hour inverse or value gap. It was a BISI, and it completes the market maker sell model / high time frame array. And then once we get this tap into the high of this 1 hour fair value inverse fair value gap, and we also get this -1 standard deviation tap into, we get a rejection. Once we get this rejection lower, I already have a short-term high, and I could now, this is what I am expecting, for this to be a long-term high. And a way for me to prove that is for it to come down to this short-term low and go below it. So that's exactly what we got. We got it. It doesn't have to be a candle close. This is not break of structure. Break of structure is this candle. But the market structure shift is actually showing us that we wanted to make a new lower low on, making new lower low, and then, so we can expect the next thing, which is, okay, I'm just going to move all this over here, which is a short-term high. So now I'm coming into the market. I'm expecting a short-term high to get put in. I could identify, you see, okay, for example, you could think this is the short-term high, but it's not. Why? Because we didn't get that market structure shift. Once we got that market structure shift, that's when we're looking for that boom. We could find another high. So we get another high, we get put in. This might look random, and it did look random to me, on just like me, the way I would analyze price action before this, I would think it was random. There was not really random, but we just came up and we swept this, but there was no really reasoning for us to do this. I'd be like, why do we do that? In order to create a short-term high. We break lower, and then now we're in our, we break lower, we get our market structure shift. We could argue that this rally, or this is kind of unnecessary, and we could put in a short-term high and then break lower. But you can see to the right here, we have this kind of marked out. This is like an order block. Comes back into the order block after the market structure shift, and we get some sort of low risk sell opportunity. In this case, we have this breaker block that gets tapped in. We get a breaker structure right here. That's what differentiates market structure shift, breaker structure, change of character. Change of character is way down here. This is my change of character. Regardless, we get this bullish order block with this candle close above this high. This becomes the order block. Now, once we break through it, it becomes a breaker, and then our low risk sell opportunity, which is also in the lower quadrant of this 1 hour inverse fair value gap. So far we already have all this playing out. So we have this original consolidation playing out. We have this little consolidation playing out with this blue box over here. This sweep down with the short-term high. Then we put in a higher time frame, a long-term high. We get that market structure shift breaking below. And now we get that short-term high. I'm expecting a lower low. Once we break this low, I'm marking out my fib, that manipulation leg, the high to the low. If I'm not mistaken, the high to the low. Let me make sure. Hold on a second. See, this is what we still need to figure out for a second. Okay, yeah. I guess you could say, onto there, but I'm not going to, what the heck? I'm going to stick with that, from the high to low, come back in to our discount, moving around our discount, blah, 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 break lower. The reason why is because I'm looking at this. Our -2 standard deviation gets perfectly tapped into. So, explain that. Then, yeah, we get a lower sell, break lower. This is already like 11:18, so kind of after the session happens. We get a little bit of consolidation. We get a sweep into a fair value gap right here. Why? Someone could say, why this fair value gap? Any fair value gap, because we had that consolidation. Yes, we could have came up to this one or this one, but we would have expected that. So seeing this rejection down, that's your sell. Sell again, your high risk sell, and then you got your sell side that finally gets tapped in, and then your -2 standard deviation. I also want to see. Okay, I don't know why. Yeah. Okay, give me a second. Could argue it's that. This is the real standard deviation of the move. Simply be like, if you just look at those candle closes, it still matches up. Everything makes sense because that's the manipulation leg higher of our short-term high. So we're like essentially the way you mark out fibs, I need to mark out the manipulation leg of it. Like this is not the manipulation leg, this is the expansion leg to the downside that created where we could find. The way I'm mixing it up is premium and discount of a move. Like what I marked out was premium and discount of like this right here. I'm marking this out. That right there is, from this high to this low is premium and discount. So we wanted to come back into a discount. But the way you measure the fibs or the standard deviations is by the manipulation leg. So I have to, kind of batter on that a little more. But yeah, it makes complete sense. The whole market maker buy model or market maker sell model just played out. And this is on the 1 minute time frame. So, it's fractal with every time frame. And I want to basically see if I can find it on, again. So it's going to be, I'm just going to kind of go to a day where I can be like, okay, I want to, this is Friday. Trying to figure out if I like it. Like, there's some days where you're not necessarily going to get, that perfect, market maker sell model, buy model, whatever it is. We could use this, for example, to longs potentially. you know, short term. Well, I guess you could say like short term low, break through it, lower low, higher high. I mean, you could. It is kind of reaching. I want to go to a larger time frame. The 1 minute is like we need a high time frame confluence that in order, you know, for us to be going into that we're like, okay, I like the fact that, you know, we're going X direction, we're doing this. Let me see. Yeah, ICT was talking about our market maker sell model here, and then we get a dump down. So realistically, it happens a lot. Like I can see one right here, you know, low, broke the low, not a higher high, lower low. Like it's all sells though. I'm finding a lot of sells. Let me. So we have this high, short-term high, long-term high, short-term high, because we have this low, market structure shift, short-term high, this high is protected, and then we can start rolling over. And then, you know, you have your first high risk sell, your low risk sell, which is the order block, and then you have your fair value gap, and then we hit the sell side. So another market maker sell model to the 15-minute to downside. I want to try to find a buy model. That would be nice. Okay, yeah, right here. There has to be in here. Probably on the smaller time frame though. I'm gonna go to 1 minute. Wanna see you in the morning. Okay. So let's pull up our thing right here for longs. Short term low, high, intermediate term low. Oh, I guess that does make sense. Intermediate term low and then long term high. That's what we are. So then, yeah, break above that short term. That short term lows high, and then go lower, and then go higher. Trying to think, you know, because like, you know, when I see this, I'm just seeing sell side sweep, you know, order block tap into, and then go higher. I gotta go to, this is all my price. This is price action from this week. I gotta go. Oh, I forgot. It's the 1 minute. They gonna be on some stuff doing that. You know, it doesn't happen every day. That's the thing. It's a certain type of, you know, model. Market maker sell model. I don't know. I don't really want to find like and go through a bunch right now, but I do know that we have a where is it, man? Right here. So I want to see if this DXY move is going to make any sense. So you can see we have our short-term low, short-term high, short-term low, and then this, I guess you could say, I mean, essentially we didn't break, you know, this short-term high, so it's hard to say that DXY wants, let me just clear this off and kind of go over. Like, we went above this high, but then does that mean we need to create another short-term low? So, like, what I'm thinking is, this is definitely our our intermediate term low. I'm trying to get all these things right. Intermediate term low. We have this. Like, see this, I don't know if we want to count this as the low, or if we want to count this as the low, because then we have to get above this. Regardless, we have to get above the same high. So we have this high that I want to get into. And then now, once we break that short-term lows high, which is this right here, I'm, you know, expecting some sort of retracement. So potentially, this can be my short-term low, and then we start going higher, going into the next session. And it makes sense, because not next session, but this week, because we also have an order block right here on this daily time frame. So, it really depends on what DXY wants to do. We're in a big mess right now. Like, we have been consolidating since, I'm gonna go way back because this is still the same consolidation. I guess not really, because we came down ever since when? June 30th, the week of June 30th. So that's quite a bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, at least 10 weeks, which is nuts, to be honest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That's actually crazy. For 14 weeks, we've been basically consolidating. So we're good, and we have hella wicks to the upside. I would love to see DXY take out those highs. And then now with this market structure kind of confirmed, I like how instead of just, I need to turn on this, because I was going to rely and just on this low, I was kind of getting tripped up. Like, would this be a short-term low? And yes, it's a short-term low, but I'm waiting for a break of this high. Like, if we go to, boom, like if you look at that right there, we have a short-term low. This low is not below. Wow. Wait a minute. I mean, I guess. I don't really know, because if I look at it from a line, it makes much more sense. Because this is not definitely my short-term low. Both of that. That's my intermediate term low. And then now, see, we got above this low right here. So I'm identifying this or this as my short-term low. I want to think we created one here, or we might be creating one and then going higher. Just because we got that actual changing character, and changing character is essentially, I'm looking at it right now. Change of character is a break of structure. See, what is this break of structure? That doesn't make any sense to me. Change of character. Hold on. See, the thing with looking up stuff online is that there's a bunch of different stuff. That obviously doesn't correlate with a lot of stuff. Yeah, so this is our market structure shift right above this high. The only reason I don't think I'm going to count this high is because of the fact that it was not lower than this low. If this low was higher than this low, I would have counted it. But it's not, so I counted this high. This high right here got our market structure shift. Retrace, try and find a short-term low, break higher. I want to see how that looks. Yeah, see, it looks all crazy, on here, but that line chart definitely made it a little better. I want to see this right here. Let me see. Great British Pound Futures. We have this high. I'm gonna go to line chart, just a way to look at it a little easier. Line chart. Let's look at. Yeah, this would have to be my short-term high. And then underneath this low, yes, we took sell side. But I do think we started breaking lower, because if you look, we have. Okay, how are we getting magnetized on them? We have that, and then if we tie in our this is our low risk sell into this liquidity, you could say we could be rally, deciding to start rally. Now we'd have a larger time from SMT up here, came into an order block, but that's besides the point. We also have a long-term high up here, short-term high. this gets trying to just long-term high gets tapped in, swept, relatively below, and then now we're coming into our second stage redistribution in my opinion. So come up, if we want to break this high, I will be a little worried maybe. But yeah, I do want to see lower prices on that right there. I want to pull out one more thing. Yeah, and I do like this one as a market maker sell model because we came into this larger time frame daily confluence, which is order blocks. And I don't know, I'm kind of maybe seeing this now, but so yeah, we're tapping in about our consequent encroachment, and we go a little lower. Yeah, I like where GP could be going down to the future. It's kind of hard for me to tell if we break this high, and then by the end of this week for sure. Like if we break this high, if we start rolling over after sweeping some internal liquidity, I'll be okay. But if you create a higher high, I'm gonna be a little bit, not necessarily worried, but maybe concerned that we're gonna be going further up higher. But we realistically should be heading lower going into GP futures. I mean, that's really all I gotta say. Dollar, I do think starts heading higher. So I'm just starting to use this larger time frame, not necessarily confluence, but understanding of market structure. I'm tired of going into the market and being like, all right, what am I gonna, what am I looking for, this or that. See, this is just kind of like a cherry pick day. I don't even know how it happened, but it did. But yeah, just taking a step back and focusing, looking at these, basically market structure, how the market structures itself in certain situations, especially in some models and buy models. They're really easy to spot. You just have to, know how structure, looks. So yeah, that's kind of it. I want to see one more day. What is this? Monday? Let me go right and see. Like right here, it's a perfect example. Another short. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't just do this. I was making it much more complicated beforehand. So, right there. I wish I didn't delete that market maker sell model stuff. Let me see if I can. So yeah, we get that short-term low right here. Get a high, intermediate term low, break the high, market structure shift. Looking for retracement, short-term low. Now you're good. You can find an entry to the highs. Perfecto. Next, do we come down to sell side? No, we don't. I'm not gonna look at that. Oh, yeah, this is a little bit more of a tricky day, but I'm looking. I'm going to see. Nope, nothing. Because if you're looking at it, short-term low, short-term high, up here or whatever, this low gets broken through, but we never come back up above this. So we can't look at any other lows. We'd have to look at this as like a short-term low. But that's weird. Can't do that. Guarantee there's one in here. This looks like a market maker sell model. We get a high right here, short-term high. I'm not gonna mark out, but short-term low. Intermediate term high, short-term high. After breaking this low to downside, beautiful. Market maker sell model once again, but it's just like it's weird. It looks a little weird. It's there, but it looks a little weird. Or not even market maker sell model, just the intermediate term high, basically how the market needs to be moving and why doing it. Right here. Low, get a high, put in. So I'm already looking. I'm already feel myself doing this. I'm gonna mark out that high. Be like, all right, I'm looking for longs. Let me get my long-term high in there. Long-term low, sorry. Or intermediate term low, whatever the heck ICTV saying. Intermediate term low. Put an intermediate term low, break the high, market structure shift. What am I looking for? Another short term low. What is that going to be? Looking for an order block for not even for like an order block. or an SMT, something of that sort. Then we get that short-term low, get the break of the high that confirms it, and then you can start to target opposing liquidity other side. Next, what am I looking for over here? Short-term high with this low coming into a high time frame PD array, 2 order blocks. What do? Long-term high. Then we get that market structure shift. What am I looking for? Short-term high. Short-term high gets put in, the low gets breaking. Boom. Market has completely shifted to downside. Wow, that is beautiful. I do not even know how many times that happened this week, but that is nuts. I guarantee it happened down here too, but what the heck is this? This looks crazy. I don't even want to mess with that. But it did happen. Short-term low. Intermediate term low. Market structure shift. I'm going to do a little more testing on seeing if the wick can be deduced as market structure shift. And then we get a low. Low is protected. Short-term low is protected. Why have we not came down as low? It's protected. God damn. And then rally higher. And then yeah, that's pretty much it. So Monday, market maker sell model 3, easy like identifying this intermediate terms highs, intermediate term lows, short term lows, whatever, all that stuff once. London twice, New York session AM again, London session Wednesday, no other on Wednesday, just a classic sweep, inverse valley gap or something like that, I think it was. Thursday, yep, right at the high, you could absolutely caught this massive capitulation of a dump. Like, why are we not taking out these highs? Because we just had a market maker sell model right at the highs. It was very simple. Then right here, drops to lows, market maker bottom model after sweeping out this, or not even market maker bottom model. I mean, I don't know if we came into some high time frame PD array on the daily, probably did. But I think we were just retracing into a 15-minute order block in this situation. So I don't really want to, deduce this as that type of model. The way we kind of use it, the way I can, high risk buy is, high risk buy is what? Or like a fair value gap or something here. So yeah, like right after here, there's your fair value gap. You can long your low risk buy, and then once we get up here closer to this order block, your high risk buy is somewhere in here. I don't know. Regardless, another one right there takes us beautiful to the downside. So that's something I'm gonna start to implement this next trading week and for the foreseeable future. But yeah, I'm excited to see how it's gonna go. Hope you found something insightful. Mainly just a reminder for myself to understand, market structure. The market structure is king. Regardless, if you're looking for your model, like the issue how I'm getting into this, is because I'm looking for my model, I'm looking for it, and I'm seeing it present itself in certain situations where, I'm kind of lacking narrative. So there's no full confidence behind the trade, especially with this last week's price action. There being basically only one setup for the entire week on the 1 minute for my model. I'm gonna have to understand narrative a little more and start to work on, seeing these moves happen, but not necessarily like, okay, just because my model presents itself, oh, this is the move. Like seeing, okay, this is the move, my model, maybe it's gonna be in here, but I'm expecting price to go to that level, to this level, move there. So yeah, that's it. I'll see y'all whatever for Monday open tomorrow. Let's get lit. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Hype. Peace out.